group, and looking for folks who got to observe, had the opportunity to observe the solar eclipse, and would like to share your travels, your experience. And you're welcome to come up here to the mic, or I can also pass it around. So, and this is anyone online as well. Just raise your hand in Teams, and we'll work through that. So, who'd like to go first? Matt, I see you back there, and I know you had some fun stuff. So, you want to sit there, or do you want to come up here? All right.
So yeah, let me, just so that everyone knows what was going on. So I was fortunate enough to take a group of students out to both New Mexico when we had the annular eclipse, and to Carbondale, Illinois, where we went for the total annular eclipse, or the total eclipse that we had out there. And so this was part of a effort led by Montana University, and they had done this thing where we do the high altitude ballooning. And so the first video I'll kind of show you guys is, this is a clip this is the launch from New Mexico. And I know it's not the best quality, but I think you guys can kind of get the idea. These are online. I'll try to see if I can get you guys some of the links for them. So this is using an Instant 360 camera. The only downside, we had launched 2 balloons for this one. And the only downside that we had with this one is that the first one that launched, which should have happened during the annular eclipse, the camera failed on it. This one was launched closer towards the end of it, so you couldn't really tell a whole lot of the shadow effect on there. But we still did get an altitude. That one reached about 89,000 feet, is what we got from that. So that was from the New Mexico one. Then I'll fast forward a little bit because there's some cooler pictures. So again, we get up to those kinds of altitudes, and the reason why we're doing this, so they had 2 teams that were running in parallel. A science team, this was launching high altitude, weather balloons basically every hour for 26 hours. And they're doing that to kind of get a profile of what the temperature, humidity, and pressures were before, during, and after the eclipse. We were part of the engineering team. Our main goal was to do a live video stream of the video. The problem was that when Montana sent the equipment over, they said, oh yeah, you're going to use this using Wi-Fi. Being an RF engineer, I'm like, okay. Not sure if that's going to work the way that you guys think it's going to work, but okay. We tried it. It didn't work. The backup was that the Raspberry Pis were also recording video, and that's where some of the other footage that we had did come from the Raspberry Pis. If you guys want, maybe sometime too, we are actually presenting a paper at the end of May about actually using digital video broadcast, DVB -S actually for the satellite. So we're actually hoping to implement that soon. So that is, yeah, this is kind of, yeah. All right, so that's that one. So then for New Mexico, what we did was we did a flight.
We have nothing on the screen.
Okay, final check since we're on standby. Everything is powered on. So I'm gonna mute that. Just I'll pause it real quick, just so it's a little bit easier for me to talk. So this is from Carbondale. This is from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, and they were nice enough. We had it was us and Connecticut, Hartford, that we got to launch actually from the football stadium there. So this one was launched about 30 minutes prior to the eclipse.
Yeah, come on. All right. Can we get a GPS check on?
I'll fast forward a little bit. If it's, oh, too much. There we go.
Can you see you? We're about to launch it.
Countdown on the video.
Okay. Just gonna mimic their countdown. 9, 8, 7. Oh my God, there's timers. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch.
So I'll pause it real quick. So all that video looks really cool, right? And everything should be great. We should have had totality. And what happened was they were using an Insta360. These cameras are great cameras, except for they are extremely power hungry. And so the internal battery generally lasts about 45 minutes to an hour. To remedy this, we had it plugged into an external battery pack. Should have been plugged into an external battery pack. So I'll fast forward how far we got. You know, and that was the sad thing. We estimated we probably missed the totality eclipse by probably 15, 20 minutes. If the camera was probably on just a little bit longer, I think we would have seen the shadow actually. And I do know that other cameras got it. So my colleague at University of Minnesota, of course, he was bragging about it. He's like, yeah, we got this awesome shot. You can actually see the shadow move across. So that was a bit disappointing. Let's see. I will also just real quick, I'll look at, so this is a GitHub repository. If you are curious about the data that we collected, so this one, we only did one flight. We did go ahead and we had a couple different sensors on there. We had temperature, pressure, humidity. Of course, we had GPS on there as well. And we did have some interesting data points. So this is our altitude plot. So again, we launched exactly when we wanted to. We wanted to be about this high when we took the, we're hoping to take pictures. This is when totality was supposed to, or when totality happened. This is a temperature data, and this is a little bit odd. We think there might have been a little bit of carryover because normally we see a little bit more decrease in temperature, but it seemed to kind of rest a little bit and then this, declined more as it went up. That could have also been another kind of inversion layer or something that was in there, but we did see kind of an interesting little hiccup in the data. This is our humidity, which is about what we expected for this type of flight. And this is our temperature profile, or sorry, our pressure profile. And this is typical for us as well too. So we didn't see any other type of anomalies with the data that we had. And then I think I might actually have some. Oh, there we go. So these are a few that, this is probably my favorite picture. This I took with my DSLR camera, and it, as I'm sure everyone is probably will talk about today and everything, it is a sight to behold. It was really awesome. We got to see the shadow as it kind of came across, and then you have that period of totality. You can kind of see the flares. You do take off your glasses at that point. And it was great because once we had everything launched, me and my students were able to enjoy the totality with it. So it was a lot of fun. If you're kind of curious about our equipment, let's see if I have. Yeah, so we actually were up on a roof. You can kind of see the equipment that we had. up there. We were using a 5.8 gigahertz dish. That is what was supposed to be getting in the video link, which again didn't work. We also had another parabolic dish that was on there for our 900 megahertz link as well too. So the other interesting story I'll say about this flight, we were able to track it. We had 3 trackers on there. 2 of them failed, which was interesting. The last one went up to 92,000 feet, and then it decided to fail, which meant that recovery was going to be extremely difficult and normally would have been. The students went out there to go try to recover it. They were not able to recover it. So how did we get the data? Well, I had programmed one of our trackers to do a daily check-in. As we were heading back to Iowa the next day, we were in Fairfield, Iowa. We stopped for lunch. I checked my phone. It's like, huh, it checked in. And so then we knew exactly where it was at. So we worked with some folks over in Indiana because that's where it landed. It was just east of Evansville. And they were nice enough to go and pick it up, and then they shipped it back to us. And then that's how we were able to pull the data off of there that we got. So any questions? Yeah.
When you say check-in, what did you use for it to communicate?
We had 3 trackers on there. One was a 900 megahertz LoRa, and then 2 were satellite. So there was an Iridium one done by University of Montana, and then an off-the-shelf spot tracker. That spot tracker, you can actually program it to do a daily check-in. So that's the one that kicked in. We think the reason why the spot tracker failed is because those trackers are actually designed to detect movement, not by like an accelerometer, but by vibration. And of course, these flights can be relatively smooth, so it probably thought it wasn't moving anymore. We don't know why the Iridium failed, except for maybe the battery died early. And why the LoRa failed, well, that's a whole RF topic I can just talk about later. Any other questions?
Any questions online?
If you can actually see part of it here, so this is actually the spacecraft. So part of it is the spacecraft itself is 3D printed, but it does get put into a foam insulated box, so that helps. Although even with that, we do experience very cold temperatures. Honestly, the electronics are fine. The only problems we sometimes have is with the batteries. We use 18650 cells because they are more tolerant to extreme cold temperatures than some of the lithium polymer batteries that are used. But yeah, we have on occasion flown heaters if we really need to keep them warm, if it's long duration. So. Any other questions?
Okay, one last question.
Okay.
For your flights, you have to go.
Yeah, so it's a very good question. So there are 2 answers to that, yes and no. And so the yes part is we did file a NOTAM because we were collaborating with the FAA, and we were also making sure that everything was safe. And honestly, when we do these launches, even from here, yes, we do notify the FAA when we do those. The no part is because technically under the Part 101 rules that govern these types of flights, because we're under 12 pounds and we have multiple payloads on there, we are not required to, but we do so anyways. So.
Any other questions for Matt? Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, who's up next? All right, Clint, you're up.
Okay, so we went to Missouri and went camping. And this would be Paul and I and Paul's kids. And so we'll see as that catches back up what it does. maybe. And so, yeah, we found a state wildlife area to hang out in, and we went down. I went down like a day early. Paul, you got down there on Saturday, and then Sunday morning. Our plan all along was, since we did this in 2017, the plan has been we will go to St. Louis and decide on Sunday morning what we're going to do. And I told that to people for months. What's your plan? Oh, we're going to go to St. Louis and we're going to decide where we're going from there. No hotels. We're just camping. And it worked. It was the beautiful plan. And it turned out we just had to go to the closest totality path straight south of St. Louis. And there we were. So that's where I slept, in my hammock. And we'll see how long it takes to flip to the next photo now. But these are pictures of, so that's Paul and I's vehicles backed up to each other with a tarp. I've got a better picture of that. And that was kind of the campground that we ended up going to. That's a picture of Klaus with me in front of it. That's Klaus in the background. Because we ran into a bunch of Iowa people down there. Chris from Johnston was there. Pat, I don't know if Pat's going to talk later, but Pat was 10, 15 miles away. And let's see, we ran into another vehicle from Waterloo, or from Woodbury County. Yeah, here's kind of us set up. And so N0BT was, probably an hour away from us. So we kind of knew some people, but just kind of worked out that we showed up where Klaus was camping. This was actually their campground with 0 cell coverage. But yeah, we needed some shade because it was a sunny day and it started getting warm. And then as we approached totality, all of a sudden everybody moved their chair out from underneath the tarp and into the sun because it was much cooler and nicer. We'll see what this looks like. This is just a video I took during totality, and it just kind of shows how you have a 360-degree sunset. And so it's not just sunset on one direction, it's all around you. And so it's pretty cool to look at. And then you can see a few of the planets that we're showing because it was dark enough to come out. So that's what that is. In the campground, I left my infed half-wave antenna, which we've used at several field days, so you're probably all have seen it. And I was running my whisper beacon. And so this is just the last 5,000 points on 40 meters that ran. It ran probably 21 hours that whole time. I ran it on like a cell phone charging battery, and it didn't even really take one bar off the battery, so it's pretty light on power. So we just left it in the campground where we camped and let it run all day. This is Paul's picture because I don't know if you're going to share, so I had it in here, so I stuck it in here. Yep. Well, maybe not the mouse. Let's move the mouse. There was no mouse. But I had that picture on my phone, and I thought, if Paul doesn't share this, I'm going to. So that's Paul's picture. Here's my whisper data, and this is just 80 meters. And so this is the overnight from UTC 0 up to morning, and the sun. Oh, I could probably point on the screen, can't I? Here, let's do it this way.
That too.
Yep, since people are at home. So this is when the sun comes up in the morning, and you can see 80 meters dies. And then, this is late morning. Here's, let's see, here's 12. So that would be about noon local. Yeah, this is not UTC, this is noon. Okay, I realize it now. So this is noon, so you can see 80 meters isn't doing a whole lot of anything. And then this is the totality right here, about 2 o'clock. And so you kind of tell from this that there was an impact on 80 meters from that eclipse. And so that is just kind of the basic, simple thing that I figured out from my data. That's the easiest to see, is just that. So I think that's the last picture I had. And then we fought traffic and made it back to St. Louis and camped another night, and made a leisurely drive back to Iowa.
Awesome. Thanks, Clint.
Yep.
Questions for Clint?
We had 2 extra minutes of totality compared to what we did in 17. So
Cool. All right. Thanks, Clint. Who's next?
he is.
Klaus?
Yeah.
Klaus is next. It doesn't matter. Just come up and talk about it.
Tell your story. You already had a photo of yourself.
Yeah. So I and my daughter went up to the same place, basically. I convinced my daughter to go along, so I made it sure that it's going to be a successful trip. So we went and visited the Arch as well on Sunday morning. And on the way to St. Louis, we stayed right outside of St. Louis in a campsite. And I was commuting at the end part. How long did we talk on the radio to each other? But Paul was right behind me, and we were chit-chatting, rag-chewing on the way to St. Louis. And then after that, Paul and Clint were mentioning that they were going to, what was that place called? The wildlife.
Castor River? Castor Creek. Castor something. Conservation area.
So they were gonna, they did actually sleep out in the hammocks. My setup was I put in a mattress in the back of my SUV and we slept in the SUV as our camper. So our plan was to also go to St. Louis and then be mobile to drive wherever the sun shines. And we decided to check out where they go. So I looked up at boondocking and found that campsite that is for horses you can camp, and it was free. That was the awesome thing. So that was our place to go. I was expecting there to be a ton of people and crowded. And on the way there, we drive through and it got more trees and more trees. And I was looking where you can pull off to see the eclipse. And there were some grass areas, but they're all fenced in, no road to it. To get to those grass areas, you have to go on the farm and stuff. So I did not have good hopes there for the eclipse. So, and the wildlife preserve is basically in the forest. So we were really lucky that right next to the campsite, there was a meadow with no trees or anything. So that was really perfect. And it turned out that very few people were there. The night there were 2 other people sleeping in their car and 1 RV. And then there was another section where 2 tents were. That was all. And the number of people kind of doubled. Oh, a little bit more than that when everybody came in. And as Clint was saying, we had a lot of representation from Iowa. Several of us communicate together that we met there. And then the last car, that was just some random person, I think, from Iowa, right?
Yeah,
that was
they were up
showing
in
up.
Plymouth County, I think.
So that was pretty awesome. The experience of the total eclipse, I did the 2017, was that the other eclipse? I was here in Ames, so I didn't see the total eclipse. I just saw a little bit through the rainy clouds. And it's definitely a huge difference, like Paul and Clint were always telling me. So it was definitely worth going there. Another cool thing that I experienced during the eclipse that I wasn't expecting is I heard about the shadow bands. And so I took out garbage bags, white ones, to put on the ground so you can see the shadow bands, like the little kitchen garbage bag, not very big. Somebody else took out a white cardboard box that was just about the same size. And those things are way too small. But the cool part was we were right there at the campsite. There was a gravel driveway, and it was very beige light, and you really could see the shadow bands on it. And so it was very awesome just standing there and all of a sudden noticing there's the waves going across the driveway. So that was pretty awesome. That's it. Anybody else?
Steve's got his hand up. Steve.
All right. My story is similar to a whole bunch of Iowa people just journeying down to southern Missouri, like you. I had no plans to go down there, but I was like, I really want to go and see the totality. And I decided, okay, well, you get one opportunity probably for the rest of my life to go see it, so I should go see it. And I didn't have plans, but I found that I could go to a place called Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Poplar Bluff, Missouri is south of St. Louis, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours. And the city there, it's a lot like Ames in the size. They set up and made available their city park for primitive camping. So I was able to camp overnight, stayed in a hotel up farther, then went down to Poplar Bluff, spent the night there, half in my car and half in a tent to basically see the eclipse. I had brought my HT with me with the intent of doing something with it, but ran into other people that were very friendly. There was some people, for example, that I happened to meet at the pizza place that they, instead of driving down, they flew their airplane in. And the Poplar Bluff Airport hosted people to camp in tents, primitive camping with their next to the runway, apparently. So it was quite the place to go. And one of the reasons that I picked that place to go was because I'm a few months off of medical for a back surgery, and in case I needed to go to the doctor, they'd have doctors there. And the other reason is because I have an electric car and I needed a place to charge the place. And if I was boondocking out in in the middle of the state forest, I don't think I would be able to plug into any random tree and have enough electricity there. So the image behind me, that I'll get my stupid hat out of the way, that's my favorite image of the eclipse. And it's not a very good image because you took it on an iPhone. The other interesting thing, if I can share my screen, I will try to share my screen. And I believe that will work. I had my car is a Tesla car, so it has like cameras all the way around, and you can tell it to record the video of all the cameras. So there's essentially six or eight cameras around. And so I downloaded all the videos that the camera produced during this time. And I'm not going to go through every video like Matthew because there's just tremendous videos. But you can see these videos are before the eclipse, just my tent and other things at the campsite. And then as the totality happened, all the pictures get darker. And you can see all around the car, all the what it looks like sunset, 180 degrees around you. And it's really cool. We had 4 minutes and 7 seconds of totality there. And then as you see further, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter until the camera is pretty much back to normal there. So that's about the size of that. It was lots of fun to go down there, and I'm glad I was able to do that at the last minute. So with that, I'm going to try to stop sharing, and thanks.
All right, who else has some eclipse stories to share? I do. You told the story. I mean, we were basically together. The only thing I'd really add was, for me, as you mentioned, it was our second total eclipse, and I'd asked my kids, who are now, I'll call them grown. I mean, 19 and 24, so I guess that counts. If they wanted to go, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're not going to miss it." So It was what it was. We rented an SUV, a little larger vehicle than I typically drive to give us a little bit more space. And we got lucky with the conservation area because Missouri allows primitive camping at no cost in there, and apparently, other camping too. But as long as you're at least 100 yards off the parking lot or a trail or the road. And so where we ended up was within 1 second of the center line of the eclipse, which gave us 4 minutes and 9 point something seconds of totality, very similar to what Steve had down in Poplar Bluff. We were just a little bit northeast of that. So that was, I think, really kind of fortuitous there. We were a little concerned about some high cirrus that was in the forecast, and it ended up not being a factor for us. The drive back that should have taken us about an hour and a half took us 3.5. It was, and we knew the traffic was going to be bad, but it was every bit as bad as it could have been. So some creative routing by Google. We learned that Google Maps likes to perform experiments on people. So you're driving along and it's heavy traffic and it's not moving or barely moving, and all of a sudden Google Maps would say, hey, there's a faster route, take a ride at the next light. And suddenly you'd look at the map and it does its little route thing, and we followed it once, like, okay, sure, why not? And then what we learned is that's all great, it's very fast to get there, and then all of a sudden it dumps you off on some intersection that's completely incapable of handling the merging traffic back in. And so you lose any time that you might have made up. And so we start observing this trend that, we're cruising along and Google says, get off here. And then we'd see where the route was dumping back in. And then pretty soon, by the time we got there, it was just this mass of cars that was just clogging up the intersection. A line of cars, just backed up because Google had shoved everybody off onto these little side routes. And so we got a little wise to that. And what was that, about Festus? Trying to think. I-55, Clint decided to take matters in his own hands. Forget Google's route, we're going somewhere else. Google kept trying to route me differently, but we followed him and we finally got around the worst of it. But in all, a great trip, and the next one here in the continental U.S. is a ways off. So for one that's easy to travel to, that was our best opportunity. Oh, yeah, that's a great reminder. So one of the benefits of being in a conservation area is that it's a legit POTA entity. And so we were able to set up it down there, and myself, Klaus, and Clint all activated. I know that Pat activated a state park that was about 15 miles away from us as well. So for those that hadn't already activated Missouri, it was a great opportunity to do that. And the Solar Eclipse QSO Party was going on at the same time, so we were swapping out grid squares with those folks as well, and had a great time doing that. So that was my story. We made it home. I did learn that you always take the day after you think you need off for vacation, and so that went well as well. But any questions for me? Awesome. Anyone else? How about anyone that might have participated in the Solar Eclipse QSO Party on their own? Is there anyone that jumped in from here? Ron, you want to tell us about what you observed in the Solar Eclipse QSO Party?
Well, I'm not sure what I observed, but yeah, I set up, I did FTA on 15 meters the whole time. And I called CQ the whole time. I figured that'd be the best way to get a good data set for the scientists involved, just one steady, and I called CQ. So it was just, I did that from like 9 or 10 in the morning till maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon, or 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And only made about 70 contacts, but I know I was spotted on PSK Reporter quite a bit. And I also relayed several spots in there. And I don't know the statistics on that because the organizers are going to download all the PSK reporter spots. And so probably in another year or two, we'll find out what happened. But and I did not notice any gain or slower rates or faster rates during the eclipse. But I just didn't have the right analytical tools to do that. So anyway, yeah, that was my experience. The reason I didn't go somewhere, the next morning, Wednesday morning, I had to fly out to San Francisco. So I didn't want to be on the road when I had to get back. So that's my story.